Okay, so let's take a look at how you can create SQL Server instance, and then we managed to connect this with Beekeeper Studio admin tool. So if you go to Beekeeper Studio, it will look something like this. It has a paid version and free version as well. So as long as it works, you can use the premium features as well. Then it will revert back to free usage. So this is the Beekeeper Studio in general. We'll be using it. So make sure to download this. It will install immediately, and once installed, we can take a look at the Beekeeper Studio, right? And it loads pretty quickly compared to any other IDE. So let me show you how it goes. Right, so as you can see here, it started loading as well. Right, so now we can put it into two panels here. At the top, I will put it here and have my setup here. So for now, let's try and maximize our instance here. Right, so I need to create a Cloud SQL instance of SQL Server Express. So I will go to Google Cloud Platform. I will get an account, which could be a trial account, and it will require me to set up a project and billing. Once you have all of that, you can click on View All Projects, and in View All Products, you will find that in New tab it should open up. And there you go. Here you can take a look at the options that you have for database. Right, in case of database, you can access the Cloud SQL, right? And where you see the instance, that will look like this. Now I already created one SQL Server Express instance, and it is accessible from this particular option here, but I will create a new instance just to show you how it works. Right, meanwhile you can take a look at your Beekeeper Studio. As you can see, it looks like very simple to use. Simply choose your connection type and add your IP address. There is port, then username, password, and some default database to connect to, and click connect. That's all we need, right? So it would be easier to work with. So now once you click on create instance in Google Cloud, you can click on SQL Server option here. Notice that 2019 and 2017 are the older versions. Due to their long-term support, they are visible here. In your case, in your future, it could be 22 or 25 or 4 version. That would be LTS and available here. So you choose what applies in your case. So next, choose SQL Server. Right, now here a form will appear, and here first thing we will be doing is adding the instance ID, which is basically a name for that instance. Then we will paste our password, or even we have option to generate. Here it will tell you that this is admin username set to SQL Server, so you just have to add your password. Next option being database version option, where you can select SQL Server 2017 or 2019 options are available for you. So you can choose between Express, Web, Standard, and Enterprise as your options, right? Next thing, you will have to go with configuration to start with between production and development. Production means you are deploying something ready for usage to your intended customers. Enterprise, small business could be in this category. Then comes the development option, which we will be using for testing purpose, and it will be low version of your specs, so 2 eCPUs, 8 GB, and so on. Performance doesn't affect, only the specs will be reduced in development. Then comes the region and zone options. Here I'm picking the region close to me, say Asia Mumbai. Meanwhile, you can take a look at low carbon emission options for Europe, Canada, US, and so on. Here you see your option for region. Mumbai is selected, then you have zone option where you have single zone selected. You can specify the zones, primary zones. Between that you can choose, right? Then comes your customize your instance option where you can see machine type is selected. For 2V CPU, 8 GB memory I am selecting. You can pick between other options, and between drop down you can choose lightweight, standard, and high memory. So that's kind of settled over there. Then comes storage option where you can select SSD as the storage type and capacity, say 10 to 100 GB or so. So I'm choosing 20 GB here. You can pick the advanced encryption where you can see Google Manage Encryption key I have selected as default. Next comes the connection part where you can see I have selected public IP and I am going to allow multiple IP addresses. So I will use name and then use 000 and 0 / click done, and those set of IP addresses all within public range will be available. Then comes authentication, which is not available due to we not using Active Directory, right? So if that's available, we can come here and then give it access. Next comes data protection. You can choose when to backup, when to recover, and if you want to allow deletion protection so that current running instance can be stopped and deleted if required. So I'm disabling this considering mine is test machine. Then maintenance period, you choose which day of the week would be for maintenance. Also order of update where you can use any later and earlier, right? Then comes flag and parameters where you can choose default collation, time zone as option. Then comes labels where you can see the option to add label to sort your SQL resources. Finally, click on create instance. So that should take care of the problem for you, and it will create your instance on Google Cloud, right? So make sure to hit create instance at the end, otherwise it won't create the instance. A lot of people just move ahead. Once they create, they expect the thing is at the bottom, right? So make sure to click create instance so that you have your instance. Now I already created one instance, so I will just go there, right? So here you see I have one instance named dev SQL server, so I'll be opening that part. So here you see the public IP address to which I'm going to connect. At the top here you see CPU utilization. If you want to stop this, you can do the same as well. Then comes connection part. You can allow, disallow certain set of IPs. I'm allowing everything. Then there is security option. You can enable SSL or disable. Then comes download certificate option. Make sure to download it just in case your application requires it. Now let's go to dashboard, and this is where we have public IP. I will just copy it to clipboard. Then try and open Beekeeper Studio, and here I will be using that in host block, right? Then there is port already ready. I will just use SQL Server as user and I will use the password, right? So we will just paste it here. Next thing, I will use MyDB as default database. Now let's test this. Can able to verify the first certificate, so we'll have to give it the server certificate, right? So if we give it that, so let's see where we can find that option. Okay, so this is where it says reject unauthorized. So if I use test again, it is denying, but I will try and use enable SSL, choose certificate file. I will just move to the drive where I have that file. I told you where to find your SSL within connection and security tab. Let's move here and test it. Okay, so I enabled the SSL, I added that and then tried to connect. It seems like I'm kind of stuck with list not matching error. That would mean I will have to go through Beekeeper Studio's documentation and support and get this one sorted for whether they have issue with that particular. Then pretty much we are however settled. We managed to create the SQL Server Express instance, and also we tried our best to connect to Beekeeper Studio. The issue could be from their own side, considering if we can use the same details with SSMS and we can connect but not with Beekeeper Studio, that goes to show that the issue is with Beekeeper Studio.